Good morning. We welcome you, your family, and friends to Unity Spiritual Center, where we honor the universal truths in all religions and respect each individual's right to choose a spiritual path. No matter who you are and where you might be on your spiritual path, you are always welcome here. My name is Jane McLean, and I have an announcement. We are having a soft opening on November 14th at 11 a.m. while we film Sandra Soleil Keep for a Sunday recorded service. If you would like an in-person experience, you need to pre-register starting November 5th. Please go to our website at www.unitybellingham.org to register. Today we have Nicholas Griffin as our guest speaker, and we have J.P. Falcon Grady for music. So let's get centered before we say our 5 principles. Take a deep breath in and let it out. And let's say our 5 principles of unity. God is good and present in all things. The holiness of God is my own true nature. I am creating my experiences by how I think. My thinking is guided by my daily affirmative prayers and affirmative actions. I follow and am sustained by these values in every way, every day. And our daily word for Sunday, November 1st is remember. I bless the people whose lives have touched mine. Grandparents, parents, siblings, members of my extended family, teachers, friends, co-workers, every person I've known has, by his or her example, helped me feel more deeply what it means to be human. Some have encouraged my curiosity. Some have taught me life skills. Some have molded positive attitudes and behaviors. Some have loved me fully and unselfishly. And some have helped me learn to love even when loving felt difficult. Today I remember the people whose lives have touched mine. I pause to think kindly of each one as I savor memories of time we've spent together. Whether we are still in one another's lives, have lost touch, or are separated by death, I know the experiences we shared continue to enrich our lives and deeply bless us on our spiritual journeys. And today's Bible text is from Romans chapter 1, verse 9. I remember you always in my prayers. Welcome, Nicholas Griffin.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm delighted to be with you. My name is Nicholas Griffin. I must say that I'm usually used to seeing people out in front of me so that I can maybe come off the platform, greet some of you, and look you in the eyes. But now that we're doing these virtual presentations, I have to imagine you. So I trust there are some of you out there. I can assure you that I'm here in the church, and the church is still here, and it's very beautiful. It's the first time I've seen it, and it's beautiful, and the grounds are lovely, and I'm so delighted you have this kind of a place to develop your spiritual understanding in. That's really wonderful. Well, this morning, I want to just talk to you in a more or less informal way. This is not a sermon. I'm just sharing some ideas. And because we have an election coming up here in a day or two, at least I think we do, this is a week before I'm recorded, so I'm hoping everything goes well for that. But because of that, I want to have a particular slant in my comments to you, and you'll see what that is as we get into the discussion in a few moments. But first of all, I would like just to read this Bible verse. It's from the Apostle Paul's letter to the Philippians. It's from the 4th chapter, and it's from the 8th verse. And this is the New English Bible, a Bible authorized by the universities of Oxford and Cambridge as an official replacement for the King James Version, as if there could ever be a replacement for the King James Version. But this is it, they say. And this is what Paul said. And now, my friends, all that is true, all that is noble, all that is just and pure, all that is lovable and gracious, whatsoever is excellent and admirable, fill your thoughts with these things. Fill your thoughts with these things. Wonderful advice, tremendous advice. Were we all to follow that advice, and had all of us followed it for the last 2 millennia, we might have a more peaceful and just world. But the world is as we find it. I called our sharing this morning, my sharing of thoughts with you, Credo. Credo means I believe. I believe. And I remember very plainly when I first began to study spiritual matters, when I first got really interested in the history of religion and Christianity, when I wanted to take some degree courses, I was asked first of all if I would produce a credo. And of course I knew what the word credo meant. I'd had Latin in school, a little bit of Greek too, as a matter of fact, so I was quite sure I knew what credo meant. But when I sat down to write this credo for the examiners, I was faced with really a novel dilemma. Credo means I believe, and we were to write down what we really believed. What was the true essence of our belief system? Didn't have to be religious. Wasn't an examination on Christian doctrine, but it was, what do I believe? And I was a young man, fairly young man at that time, and to my amazement, and perhaps even to my horror, I wasn't sure what I really believed in. Oh, I believed in all the conventional things. Obviously, I had errands to run, and I had obligations to fill, and I had letters to write, and I believed in punctuality, and things like that, and trying to keep myself clean and well scrubbed. But what did I really believe in? In my heart. And as I began to think about that, the number of things that I really and truly believed in, I thought, began to diminish somewhat. And when I finally came to write my credo, there were about a dozen phenomena, let me call them that I really believed in. For example, I believed that life has a purpose. I believed that there is a meaning in individual existence. I believe that as we think, so we are. Isn't that told us in Scripture? As a person thinketh, so are they. You have to think about that. And this realization was borne in upon me more and more when I first began to consider ministry seriously, and I began to qualify for ministerial practice. I remember that there was an element that we had to take, a counseling element. And I was very lucky. I got my counseling credentials from the University of Kansas, but I was very lucky in that I was able to hitch up with a pastor, with a chaplain who was the chaplain at the state prison there in Kansas, the great state prison. And I went along with him when he was interviewing and counseling prisoners, some of them, I have to say, on death row. And it was a profoundly moving and very disturbing experience in many ways. I'm always been grateful to Jim for having taken me along and regarded it as part of my ministerial education. Because what impressed me as much as anything was that we were working with intelligent people of all backgrounds, races. It was not a women's prison, so they were all men. But what concerned me more than anything was that as Jim talked to these men and we got deeper into their situations, they had committed the crimes they had committed. Many of them freely admitted them, because they didn't have any real center of belief. They didn't believe in the sanctity of human life. They didn't believe there was any purpose or meaning in existence. Never mind believing about a God, they didn't believe that there was really any meaning in life at all. So why shouldn't they go on the rampage, murder, kill, rape, anything you want to name? It was a profoundly, as I say, disturbing experience. And I came away from that vowing that as my ministry developed, I would always try to search for meaning, purpose in my own life. I would always ask myself, come on, what do you believe? You may give an off-the-cuff answer to somebody when they ask you something. What do you believe about this, that, or the other? Oh, well, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so. But what do I really believe? Because that's how we get to the nub of life, how we live life, I think. And we take responsibility for our own lives when we begin to understand and to know and to follow what it is that we believe. Well, you say we may believe some nasty, horrible, wicked things. Yes, we may. Yes, we may. And some people do. Some of those people in that prison, they believe that, I suppose, I imagine. But we have been told over and over again that as we thinketh, so are we. And unity makes this point very strongly. It's a wonderful thing, really, and it's what truly drew me into unity and the pursuit of the unity notions. Unity says we are responsible for our own thinking and for the results of those thoughts, not only in our lives, but in the lives of the communities in which we live. It's profound responsibility, but they believe it. It's true. We believe, and I'm sure some of you who've been in unity a while will understand and acknowledge this, we believe that the likeness we share with our Maker, the likeness we share with God, is not the likeness of a super-terrestrial human being, not at all. The likeness we share is the creative energy that is God. We have that in us, that same remarkable creative energy. It's an extraordinary thought, a remarkable thought. It's not that we dismiss God and find God an irrelevance, quite the opposite. God, as the creative structure of this universe, the very consciousness that maintains it, is a part of us, and we are part of it, indissolubly so. We have the power, we have the courage, we have the confidence, we have, above all, the ability, as well as I might even say the duty, to think carefully, to imagine what it is carefully, what we are truly believers in. And if we find something that is inconsistent with life itself, with what Paul reminds us of, then perhaps we need to work on that, because perhaps we've been manifesting pain, suffering, misery, poverty, pain, because we've been entertaining the wrong thoughts. Maybe we don't want to think that and say, oh, not my fault. I don't know. I don't know how much we draw to ourselves in this way, but I do know that if we maintain thoughts that are positive, constructive, compassionate, loving, if we do entertain thoughts that are of a creative nature, then somehow our lives and our communities mirror those thoughts. That's what I believe. I remember on one occasion many years ago, in another part of the world, a woman came to me for counseling, and she was sad, so sad you could feel the mantle of sadness about her. You almost wanted to cry. And she started to cry, and I pushed the ever-present Kleenex box across the desk there, and I said, "Oh, please. You know, I always come out from behind the desk to counsel with somebody. I don't want anything between me and them." So I was actually sitting out front of the desk with her, and I got the box, and she wiped her eyes, and she tossed it in the wastebasket, file 13. She said, "I feel just like that piece of used tissue." And I thought, my God, the miracle of a human being, this remarkable woman, and she thinks she's no more than a piece of used tissue. I was so saddened, and we went on, we talked, we counseled. And you know, the reason why I think she felt that way in part was that she didn't believe in anything. She had nothing to believe in. She didn't believe in anything. I said, you know, she didn't believe in the wonder of her being, in the creative energies she had locked within her, in the promise even of spring, going out and looking in the forest. We live, my wife and I, down on the island, down on Fidalgo, and we go walking. Some of you must know Washington Park. We go walking on the trails sometimes in Washington Park, and met a coyote there the other day. Can you imagine? We looked at each other, and we were both stunned by the encounter. He looked at me, and I looked at him, and he seemed to say to me, "What the heck are you doing here? You know, get out." And I'm not a great dog lover, and I'm sure coyotes are nice guys, but I said, "Okay, you know, you keep your forest, Glenn. I'm going this way." But when you walk in that forest, you can feel the living intelligence of God, of creation. It's there. It's actually humming. It's actually buzzing. It's there, the very life of the universe. And you know, there's no place where you and I can get away from that life. No place at all. There's no place you can go to where there is not life. Life is the sine qua non of this universe and what it means to be in it. And we are part of that. Well, I'm talking away to you here, and I'm sorry that I can't answer any questions you may have. I'll go on for a little bit longer, if that's okay. And we have some wonderful people here in the church who handle the sound, and I'm sure they'll jump up and down or do something when I've said enough, so I rely on them. But I want to go on and expound on this theme for a little bit longer, and I'll tell you why. It's because of what I said in the beginning. We have an election coming up here, do we not, in a day or two? Now, I'm not going to tell you which way to vote. Heaven forfend. Unity doesn't tell people how to make their minds up. Some denominations might, some religions might, some people might, some institutions and organizations. We do not. It's up to you to make your mind up. To make your mind up by looking at what you innately believe in your own heart to be the way to go forward. If you're an individual who has tried to pursue a spiritual, shall I say, a Christian way of life, perhaps you want to look for the good, for everything that has encouraged and lifted up and given hope and meaning, purpose to the lives of others. We're not all lucky. Many, many, many of us in this world suffer horribly, not because we're not very bright or because we're living in the wrong place. It's because we haven't had the opportunities and we haven't had our own magnificent creative abilities recognized and promoted. If you want to use that as a guideline in your voting, that's fine. Which of the candidates has done or is likely to do that? I don't know, because I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I've already voted, by the way. I did. I Torah puditat. I voted. And very pleased to have done it too, but I'm not telling you how. But I ask you seriously, because it is serious. We live in community. We don't live alone. Now, if I'm talking to a hermit here who lives up in the forest someplace and is off the grid, you probably wouldn't be able to receive this anyway. But if you were, I'd say, ignore the whole thing. It doesn't really matter. The cougar's going to come down or the bear's going to come down and visit you, and life's going on. Maybe red in tooth and claw, for all I know. But I have a feeling, a suspicion, that most of you do live, as most of us do, pretty settled, even suburban lives. And maybe we haven't had the time to, over this one issue, think about it as carefully as we really need to. And this is where I come back to the Credo, where maybe if you haven't voted, or even if you have, you sit down and you take an hour or two, and if you meditate, even better, and you write out. I wrote out my Credo. I still have it. And I wrote it out. This is what I believe. I believe in peace. I believe in compassion towards others. I believe in the value of human life. I believe in a meaning for existence. I believe in a purpose for it. I believe our communities. We are in community because this is the best way we learn and grow together. These are things that we can all believe in, and maybe we need to reaffirm that belief quietly. Write it down, as I say, make a credo. It's actually lots of fun, because when you make a credo out, it doesn't have to be long-winded, just what I believe. Maybe take up the half page of a legal pad. But it's fun to look back in a few years sometimes and say, how many of those things that I said I believed 10, 20, 30 years ago, how many of them do I still believe? If you've gotten down to the core of your being, touched something special, you'll probably believe virtually all or most of those beliefs true beliefs you held back then. So I'm not going to recommend how you should vote, as I say. Heaven forfend. If you've already done it, congratulations, you've performed your civic duty. It's too late now to go back and change it. However, if you have not yet voted, if you're still pausing and thinking, even on the postal votes that still are going out in Washington, of course, we have a very well-developed, do we not, postal voting system, then that's fine. Please, think carefully and vote possibly your beliefs, because this is a serious enough election, friends, for you to want to do that. I wear an historian's hat, too. I'm a philosopher, or at least I've been told so, because I have a doctorate in philosophy. I also have a history degree, 2 history degrees. My heavens, what am I saying? More than 2. I don't want to get into that. The fact of the matter is, I have made a study of other societies, other cultures, and I've seen the decay that can take place and can rob them of their promise. And it comes from within most times. You can have a Great Wall of China, but if the thinking inside that wall is destructive, cruel, mercenary, greedy, exploitative, it wouldn't make any difference if the wall was 100 feet high, and it nearly is in some places. No, it's in a community. The community breeds its own ethos, its own thinking. And we can use those God thoughts within us to promote what is best in our society and in our own lives. It's a win-win. We both get to win. Well, thank you for letting me into your homes this morning. I truly appreciate it. I really wish you well as you search for ministerial guidance. I know you will receive what is right in divine order. It's another thing I believe in. And so, do your credo, find out what you truly believe, go forth, vote if you haven't already done so, but be a light in your community and a light in your own life. And that light will never be extinguished. God bless you all. Thank you for allowing me to be with you.
Thank you, Nicholas, for being with us today. And now we've reached the part of our service that we get to give to practice the abundance that we are. There are 2 ways that you can give, and the information on how to give is at the end of this service. We're always grateful for your generous gift. Please hold it over your heart and say the prosperity affirmation with me. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Let's welcome our musical guest, J.P. Falcon.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is J.P. Falcon Grady. I'm here to play a song for you. The song I wrote, it is called Ebb and Flow. And I wrote it because out where I stay at, one of the places I'm at, we're not too far from the water. Looking out there at the islands, and San Juan Islands there, Orcas Island, and the different San Juan Islands out there. We're very lucky. And a certain time of the year, the killer whales will come through. And it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to see and witness. They come swimming through as they breach, and they just come passing through. It's the most beautiful thing, one of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed. And it inspired this song, Ebb and Flow. And in the song, I mentioned they come and they go slowly. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. The killer whales, they come and they go so slowly. It's a beautiful process. And never will I fade away from that experience, ever. Every day I wake up, I'm still thankful for, man, I got to see that. And another thing, too, is that at night, from our living room, we could hear the whales in the water. You could hear them singing. Beautiful, magical moment. And so I also mentioned in the song the midnight song on the midnight air, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. So no further ado, Ebb and Flow. Please enjoy. Another day comes shining down for you and me to see cold shine smiling over the sailor's sea. Come and look at the island, we got an Orcas view. So much to feel here, so much to do. We got the ebb and flow. Let it flow my way. Ooh, they come and they go slowly. Never I'll fade away. You said you wanna live life freely. Let it be. Some took to the highlands and dry lands, others the sea, some to the valleys, and there's you and me. Oh, we love that shoreline and a life living here. We got the midnight song on the midnight air. We got the ebb and flow. Let it flow my way. Oh, they come and they go slowly. Never I'll fade away. You wanna live life freely. Let it be. Oh, let it be. Yeah. We got the ebb and flow, yes we do. Oh, let it flow my way. Come and it goes slowly, never out, fade away. You wanna live life freely. Let it be.
Thank you, JP. That was so beautiful. We are at the end of our service. Let's say our prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a blessed week ahead, and we're looking forward to having you next week.